everyone. Welcome to today's edition of Scouting for Growth. Today, I'm meeting my dear friend, Dr. Robin Kiera.
Hey, thank you very much for the invitation.
Thank you for being with us, Robin. Just so that I can tell you a little bit more about Robin. Robin is one of the most renowned European FinTech, InsurTech influencer. Robin set up Digitalscouting in 2017, and he set that up as a platform which gathers today 400,000 followers. And, you know, in our industry, this is not insignificant. I remember as well writing a few articles for Robin around business model disruption. Robin is a thought leader, an entrepreneur, and a senior leader as well. He's worked with also thought leaders, entrepreneurs, and senior managers in finance and insurance now for years. And what he aims to do is provide practical tools and techniques around lesson learned within our industry, but also within the InsurTech sector. So thank you, Robin, for being with us today.
Thank you for these flattering words. You have always been my role model, so I'm always blushing when people say things like that.
Yeah, amazing. I mean, you have been doing so much work for us. I remember when we've met in conferences where you've been also recording and trying to democratize knowledge around insurance and make it simpler. So thank you for your hard work too.
Thanks.
So I want our listeners to understand your parcours, you know, what got you to where you are today, where you started, and where you are going as well, Robin.
First of all, its life can be ironic because I have now a consulting company and a marketing agency. And you cannot believe I don't like these marketing agencies, guys, and I really despise consultants. So that's the irony of it all. But let me share what makes it maybe a little bit different. So I started as an insurance sales agent. So I really started from the ground up, sitting on the couches, trying to sell liability insurance for 14 euros commission. So I was part of a management program that was really fancy, but in the end, it was selling insurances on the insurance policies on the street of Hamburg. And I always say between me and the Allianz CEO were 27 different layers of hierarchy. Between me and the one below me, that was just a street, street heading to the client. Now it's fun to talk about it, but in the end, it was a pretty harsh education. Why? Because I saw a huge gap between what insurance can be, helping people, protecting them against the risks of our lives, and the reality of selling insurances. When there are accidents insurance month, then we sell accident insurance. When there comes a new product in long-term care, then we sell that, which not necessarily had something to do with actually the desire and the demand of the client. I know everybody says, oh, we don't do that. We don't sell products. We consult. Yeah, all right. Let's talk at the end of the year. What are you doing then? But years later, I found, and one more thing is, at every beginning of the month, we received a list of clients we could call. So that had nothing to do with their situation. I had several situations where I called a client and he said, oh, thank you that you're calling. Okay, nobody said that, but at least they didn't hang up right away. And I found out, oh, they just bought a house. They just founded a new company. But they didn't think about us as agency. They went to their bank, they went to somebody else. So a lot of business went by us because we were not on the mind of our clients. And then I founded Digitalscouting 10 years later, and we were really crushing it on social media. And suddenly our clients were standing in line. And I remember as if it was yesterday, I was sitting on a cafe waiting on some insurance C-suite, and I was like, this sort of selling is quite differently than when I was running around and running after clients for insurance. And because out of a push, I needed to push into the market, was a pull, clients came to us. And from that moment on, we decided to transform our blog, which was, having thought leadership. We went through all conferences around the world and brought the ideas back home. Talked about, promising startups like Lemonade at the time. Maybe one or two people have heard about it until now. And to bring this back and to make I strongly believe also we in insurance can sell our insurance policies like iPhones, that people are standing in line in front of our agencies and brokerages or homepages. Why? Our products are way more important than a stupid phone. Why? I mean, you know, a phone is dead in 5 years anyway, that a term life insurance can save maybe not the life of the person that died, but at least the financial consequences of it. Health insurance are providing ventilators around the world. And all of that. And we as insurers, we do not talk about these things when we do, you know, from time to time a good job. And I think we can also create a situation where people are standing in line for our products. And that's a little bit the mission of Digital Scouting.
So what I hear is you move from traditional insurance to what you do today, consulting and social media, even though you don't like the consultants and the social media agencies, because you wanted to transform our industry and demonstrate that you can do it better. We can do it better by using it.
At some point, people said to me, Robin, you're the rebel of the industry. And what I found when I hold keynotes, and maybe I need to add, I built 2 products, one in online gaming, one in fintech, that was super successful. The online gaming company was sold for $400 million. I did not have any shares, just as a disclaimer. So I still need to work. Still hurts a little. And what I want to say with that is, I was pretty independent because I was thinking, you build 2 apps that made over $1 billion, so you will find a job at some point, even if you make everybody in this room mad. And this room was full of insurance experts and employees and professionals. And what I found when I talked about the elephants in the room in 2017, 18, 19, that at some point the other rebels in the room, maybe still wearing a tie and a suit, contacted me and said, Robin, we see it exactly like you. We wouldn't say it in public, but we see it exactly like you. And we actually want to save the industry, and our insurers, please help us. And then I said, never. And then they said what they were willing to pay. And I was like, oh, well, I reconsider.
Well, I think what you've done as well is push the boundaries. And I think today it's okay to push the boundaries because our generational group of customers is changing. The Gen Zs and millennials are asking for digital and seamless offerings. And so because of that, it gives you an opportunity to respond to that customer much better.
Well, I think not only Gen Zs and Gen Y and all new people are asking for seamless, frictionless processes. I think everybody likes that. It's like I just kind of share a story not about the insurance industry. My razors, I have electric razor which can do wet and dry raising. I don't know, do you say raising? And the station where you load it broke. I love Philips. All my Dutch family has worked for Philips, so I only buy Philips. Yeah. So I tried to get this thing on Amazon, this station to recharge the razor. It was not possible. So I went to Philips website. I couldn't order it on my phone because there was some bug on their website. So I ordered it actually online with that. So I had a break. I couldn't do it in the moment I needed it. Second, then they are sending it now with a really disastrous parcel delivery service. And so the user experience is horrible, even though I love the brand. And I think we need to, everybody loves frictionlessness. All technology that broke through, reduced friction in the process. And it's not only, I think that the tolerance of Gen Zs and newer generations are just lower. They have not the same tolerance when it comes to incompetency and friction. And by the way, I think that's just right.
Yeah, it is just right. So tell us, how did the idea come to you to build this global social media engine?
Well, first of all, I really love insurance. I think it's a great product. I think we have very brilliant people working in the industry. We have lot of good people working in the industry. And what I found, what was quite ironic in the beginning, that it seems to me at least, that most insurance ecosystems, like countries like Germany, France, Britain, USA, they haven't had nothing in common. They hadn't have any exchange, but there are so many interesting use cases in the UK, in France, in the US. And I wanted really to get to know what's really going on. And because there's one thing to just cite an article of a journalist who has never, who barely speaks English to talk about international trends. Or I wanted to see the international trends. And I loved also speaking, probably also is good for my ego. So that was my inner desire to bring these great ideas back. And by the way, what people said back in the days, there will never be an insurance policy sold via a chatbot. And I still remember how I went to, by the way, before I went full force into digital scouting, I went to an insurance C-suite with the YouTube video Lemonade just released. And I asked him, what do you think, how many years it's going to take until this app is going to go live? And he said, 3 to 4 years. I said, this app is live now. And the second thing he said, oh, we're working on something similar. Funny fact, until now, they have no decent app.
So digital scouting, tell me, how did that name came about?
Okay, there are two approaches to finding a name and a logo. First approach is to have a workshop, to think about things, and to have experts, and to have designers and all of that. I did not do that. I thought about the idea of digital scouting for a long time. I just had the name in mind. And at some point, we had our first media partnership with a conference. And then they said, oh, do you have a logo? I'm like, oh my God, my company doesn't have a logo. So I went to Canva and just made a logo in 5 minutes, sent it to them. And that's our logo. So yeah.
Well, but you said you were thinking about the name for quite a while. So what I want to know now, what were your ups and downs? You built a very renowned brand across our industry now in multiple markets.
Yeah.
What were your ups and downs, Robin?
So my ups and downs were, actually there were no downs. So I did this part-time besides being a chief product officer for a private bank, where we built the second app that was pretty successful. And we always grew organically. My downs were only stupid mistakes by myself. I don't know, hang on to a bad tax advisor for too long, things like that. But there were no downs. The only down thing I really see is that COVID prevented us from meeting and seeing. That's the biggest pain for me. I really hate it. I was really annoyed that Joe Biden didn't let us into US for ITC last year. I was really, really annoyed by that. And I hope we're going to do this very, very soon. I'm actually hoping to see you all in March in London, and I think in Europe, where the first shows start.
Yes, we will be in London, and we are planning a few interesting things as well, which we'll tell you hopefully very soon. So there is this quote I found on your profile, and I would like you to tell me a little bit more as to what inspired you in putting that quote, into your profile on LinkedIn. 20 years from now, you will be more disappointed by the things you didn't do than by the ones you did do. So throw off the bowlines, sail away from the safe harbor, catch the trade winds in your sails, explore, dream, discover. Mark Twain.
Yes, I really love this quote because it reminds me of what I should do and what I should not do. When I announced at Allianz that I was leaving this headquarters, working at a department called Board Communication, which was the project management office for the board of Allianz Germany, I said I'm going to an online gaming company that hasn't been around for 3 years. People were really calling the company doctor to see if I have high fever or something. So they were, how can you leave the security? And I would have gone, my career would have gone and continued and all of that. And so in the end, even though it was very privately motivated because I wanted to get back to my girlfriend, now wife, which about in 19th of January, we're together 20 years. First time in my life, I went to a Cartier shop. I'm not sure if I'm going to do that again. So what I want to say with that is, with the Mark Twain quote, is to really, do the things that you won't regret. And I think sometimes we have a false sense of security. And the same thing is when I found digital scouting, or I decided to do it as a real business, to just do it, because I think we all can still go back to have great jobs in this industry or another, even though I cannot imagine working for a different industry, and to really do what, if I lay my head on the pillow for the last time, I don't want to regret anything.
And no one should regret. And I think I've learned the same lesson from you, because I worked for very large companies for 18 years of my life. And I made the shift 6 years ago when I decided to work with tech startups, actually, which were trying to work in insurance. And so that's where InsurTech started. And also wanted to become closer to investors and PE companies. And so I thought to be able to do that, I needed to create some level of freedom for me to think, to work on the laptops I wanted to work. I'm a Apple person. Everything in my house is, branded with that specific brand. Anyhow, I just wanted some level of freedom, some ability to think laterally, and actually being able to go wherever I wanted, when I wanted, and actually drive value in different ways. Which takes me to this amazing book you've published and which came out just recently, I think just before Christmas. I saw this pink and yellow book on my Instagram. And so tell us how this project came about.
So it's called To Sell More with Attention Hacking. And the hammer shows that we should use the hammer in communication. And it's in German, but the translation in English is ready. I'm just looking for some organizational steps and designs, and I actually need to review it this weekend. So the English book is coming out, I hope before March, so we can, I can bring them all to all the conferences and make
I hope I'm going to get my copy, sir,
yes.
Because I was looking on amazon.co.uk. I could not get it. It's like, what is going on here?
Yeah, never do it with a small editor, I would say, or publisher. All right, so what's the book about? The book is about how can you get the attention of the target group, can be B2B, can be B2C, and we share actually all our secrets, what we found out. I mean, we reach between 10 and 20 million people a month on all different various social media channels, and we share actually all our secrets. But it's written especially for decision makers in the insurance industry. So if you're a marketing department or you're a C-suite decision maker or anybody in the internal headquarters, but since I'm from outside sales or going on the streets and selling policies, it's also written for those. I always look at two things. First, if you have never heard about anything, you can learn something, and if you're a super pro expert, that's also something we did this book for. And I just wrote it. By the way, I'm not ashamed to say that, I had a little help because nobody will believe me anyway when working 18 hours with a company that I did write it myself. But the intellectual content and all of that, it's from me. All stories are from me, but I had some help to actually putting it together, because otherwise I would have not done it in the next 20 years.
Yeah, no, I know the feeling. We are working at speed, and I'm also finalizing a book, which I've written everything, right? It's my past 5 years of learning in InsurTech. And I also need a little bit of help to finish it off, because I'm also working with big companies and InsurTechs every day. So finding the right balance between the two. Can you tell us, because I've seen you talk with Gary Vee, for instance, and some major brand names in attention hacking. Tell us, attention hacking is actually a real terminology which exists in the industry. And there is this economy called the attention economy. Tell us a little bit more about that.
So I can only say what I understand as it. So I'm Gary Vaynerchuk, and I had some encounters that was really, really nice. Or also Grant Cardone in real estate play, Rachel Cruz from the Dave Ramsey team, or I will have a show with Anthony O'Neill soon, and Guy Kawasaki, not to forget, and others. So that were really some superstars we had there, and also a lot of insurance C-suits. But what is attention hacking is about? It's when I see an ad or get a letter from my insurer or a bank, it's mostly about them. They want data from me to fill it in their form. It's always about them, but it's never about the client. And the irony is, if you look at super successful insurance agents, for them, it's always only about the clients. It's funny, it's like a true law through history. If you want to sell a person something, be nice to him, her, deliver value, and business will come. Really funny concept. It works. And the idea is, back in the days, you only could grow your business by scaling your sales force, by hiring more people. And we are the first time in history, I believe, where you can scale your sales activities and your sales success and your revenue detached from the growth of hiring new salespeople. And the magic is attention hacking using digital media, pictures, graphics, animations, and video. Did I mention video? Video. You need to really have a video department. If 50% of worldwide international internet traffic is video, and you have 2 videos on YouTube with 300 views as a multi-billion-dollar company, you have a problem. So the book is really about, it's pounding, it's written easily, it's really pounding on, you need to conquer the attention of your target group. You really, really, really need to conquer the attention of your target group. You need to be actually daily on their mind. Let's go back to my, mediocre sales results when I was an agent. It was super hard to be on the mind of the people. We could write them, call them, but there were manual tasks actually attached to my physical thing. And I think that's super important to know. And yeah. And what attention hacking is to really find the tools and tactics that work. So if we find out that your target group, for example, is on LinkedIn, then you need a LinkedIn strategy. When you find out your target group is on TikTok, then you need to be on TikTok. And it's not a question if you like it or not, you need to be there, period. And one critical question I always ask when, especially at insurers and banks, they say, yeah, we know that, we understood it intellectually, we know we should do that. I say, do you allocate the resources and the structure of your marketing and sales department the same way as the clients allocate their attention in their time? So if the client is spending 30% on streaming or social video, do you spend 30% of your marketing budget there, or are you still printing leaflets?
But that is the most important, right? Attention needs to go towards where consumers are spending most time. And some of the stats showing that on average, we spend 4 hours on our social media per day, and we spend that time around across 7 digital channels, social media channels. So as you said, being clear around where the customer is or where we want to bring attention to what we have to offer is going to be very important. And as you said, video is key.
I have a funny story. One more story. Sorry for interrupting. One funny story is when we look at insurance and banks, and they are saying, okay, imagine the situation. You are a decision maker and your sales department is struggling, and you go to your worst salesperson. But he or she is nice, very communicative, and then you ask her, you want to find out what's going wrong. And then she says, or he tells you, oh, I'm going to my car, I'm driving to the client, but he's not there. And you're like, okay, and then he or she repeats and says 10 times the same story. And you're like, but why aren't the client there? And then you find out they're driving to the addresses where the people used to live. And then you ask, but they're not there anymore. And they're like, yeah, but for the last 10 years it worked and everybody else is driving there too. Yeah, but they're not there anymore. And that's what insurers and banks do with social media. They invest billions and billions and billions of dollars into channels where the customers don't are anymore. Sorry, Mark Zuckerberg, but Facebook is dead. Yeah, you need to go to different channels. Yeah. And I think that's something what attention hacking is. Be there where the client is. And it's not only that. It's actually, you not only need to be where the client is today, because that's crowded, you need to actually be where the client is tomorrow. And that's where the magic is, and that's where the billions are to be made.
And, Visual Capitalist has been doing some amazing graphic to show us how the displacement around social media also is going on. But I think the major point you're also making is, don't just look at the stat, make sure that your customer is on that channel too.
I want to say one thing about startups. We have startups out there that are brilliantly innovative in their product, but they're really, really bad at marketing. It's unbelievable. And sometimes they're failing because of that, and that's sometimes that's why we sometimes also work with startups to say, guys, you're so great with your product, but you're really just copying the traditional ones with your marketing. That's not good.
That's not good, because you need to recognize that the greatest tech ventures are technology first, but not marketeer. And so I think there's a great opportunity to help them. All of us as, influencers and InsurTech enablers, we can help them do that better. And I think the other point you highlight around some of those deficiencies is, if they want to raise and if they want to grow and scale their business, they have to emulate. I'm sorry, if Daniel Schneider is not happy with that, it'll be lemonade, because Daniel is coming from a marketing background. Yeah. And so everything has been super consistent in the way he's built lemonade.
Yeah, but I think there they have the great advantage of being super innovative on their application and having brilliant marketing and fundraising. So I think a lot of factors came together. But funnily enough, I think Lemonade is also a great example, even though I've been critical in the past. I mean, look at the founders. It's not their first rodeo. You know, I mean, Shai, for God's sake, he built Fiverr before that, which is like another unicorn Death Star. Not it's a negative word, but it's like a monster, super great company. And now they're going, and then they're going into insurance. So I think that's also something I think typical for insurance, that the successful startups have been founded by founders for whose it's not their first startup. I think that's super typical.
So I'm waiting for your book in English, but can you give us 5 tips, please? 5 tips we can start tomorrow to become attention hackers, Robin.
First of all, I think it's most importantly to make a decision. Do I want to attack? Do I want to grow? Then you need to do attention hacking. If you are happy with melting margins and shrinking market shares, that's fine. Don't do it. But that's really important. If you make the decision, you need to also have the consequence. And the consequence is step number 2. Really watch what your clients are doing. Don't ask them what they're doing. Watch what they're doing. That means when you're out there, look what other people are using on their cell phone. And when your agencies and consultants tell them, oh, you need to go this and there, but you look on the cell phones of your clients while watching the subway in the airport, they're not there, then, there's a delta. And by the way, people only agree in surveys what they think is socially acceptable. I had once a C-suit telling me when I told him about attention hacking, and he was like really annoyed. I said, Robin, I know it works. You know when I see you? When I'm in the bathroom. I see you everywhere on my phone. I'm like, can it be more intimate when you're there in the most private moments of a true C-suit, and I think that's important to understand. First, you need to decide. Second, you need to really watch where your clients really are, not where they say they are. Third is, after you listen, you need just to do. Just do it. I mean, the funny thing is nobody has 20 years experience in pushing an insurer in the social media space, because guess what? Has not been around for 20 years. So just do it. I think that's super important. But you also need to change your philosophy, and that's step number 4. You change your philosophy, how you produce content. I cannot count the numbers when I go into an insurer and they say, oh, Robin, you don't have any money. And I say, okay, how much money did your last image movie cost? $250,000. I'm like, yeah. I mean, you could do a year budget attacking the internet with that in certain levels with that, and not having one movie only the board actually saw and nobody else did. So you need to change the way how you produce content. It's rapid, it's quick, it's using AI, it's using certain tools. It's not polishing everything until the last thing. And that's step number 5, you need to make a very tough decision. Are the people you have currently potentially are capable of doing that? And if not, what is your way? Is your way to ramp up slowly own expertise? Is it buying an agency? Or is it, going outside and say, agency or consulting partner, please do it all for us. And then you can really attack that. So I think that are my 5 steps.
But one thing which came to mind is, I do see you when I wake up in the morning. And so whether it's on my Instagram or I go on LinkedIn, so we have our routine, right? We go first. I don't even watch TV anymore. Most of my news comes from my social media channel, looking at people I know who have already done the research. And then we all are doing our little, piece where we are sharing things we are seeing, which is transforming our industry. But one thing which I also realize is you are using a lot of automation, Robin. And can I ask you to share with us as well tips, 3 of the best automation tools which have changed your life?
Well, what changed my life is actually my colleagues at Digitalscouting that take a lot of work from me. So that's the trick. And, I cannot be the measurement of social media activity, because of 30 people, I would say 10 to 15 are working on my social media presence. That's a lot. So, and that's also a significant investment, by the way. What kind of social media tools I recommend are scheduling tools, where you can schedule your social media posts. We use Social Pilot. It's like a $10 program where you just have, where people can upload stuff and pre-plan. That's what we do a lot. Big, great tool is Canva, where you can very professionally, we always say we produce graphics in the time while others still are starting Adobe Photoshop. Okay, we use Adobe Photoshop written too, but it's to make a point. You can create great art, with a program like Canva, with filters, and I think you can learn it in 2 hours. And the third program we use is CapCut, which is the video editing tool actually provided by the company who also runs TikTok. It's, I think, one of the best and easiest ways to produce social media videos in a high quantity. But again, we have also a whole professional video team that can do, Hollywood style videos too.
Okay, now I know where I can go for my next videos. Thank you very much, Robin. So I will ask you now. There is so many questions I wanted to ask you, but we're coming at the end of our little discussion. If you were going to give 3 advice to you when you were younger 10 years ago, what would be those advice?
My first advice would be work not so much. I think that's something I did, my team always laughs because I cannot imagine that I even worked more, but actually did. I would work less a little bit. Second is I would do the uncomfortable things, because I still remember when in my dorm a million years ago, somebody told me you can install small programs on your computer and then you can mine like weird coins. And I was listening to that, but I was not grasping it intellectually. And I think it's important to have unconventional priorities, to do things that don't make sense at the point, but who can be great. TikTok, for example, is an example. We started that when nobody did, and as an unconventional priority, as a research and development product. So that's what I would do unconventional priorities. And when you are triggered by things, but you don't do it because they're not comfortable, that's the point, how to try it out. Also to be intellectually flexible. I mean, I love the insurance industry, but we are also looking at others, just also to, to grow and to learn outside of our, family, I want to say. And the third one is what I would even do more, go more on conferences, even more events, to meet more people, because that's the beauty. And by the way, I think the insurance and InsurTech community is also one of the things that carries me through this zombie apocalypse.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. We have a great community. We are, at the end of the day, a relationship-based industry. And so we need to share that. And I agree with you. There's so many opportunities in insurance, but also in adjacent markets, as we also see a lot of other sectors reaching out to actually understand how, risk management and risk mitigation becomes part of their embedded offering. So thank you, Robin, for being with us today. Where can we find you?
Everywhere. So LinkedIn, Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, Pinterest, YouTube, name it, or on our website, digitalscouting.de.
Thank you.
Thank you.